Thank you. Mr. Arielle or Mr. LeBlanc, do you have your first witness room?
I should state Case Officer Arielle LeBlanc. May I leave the podium, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and spell your last name for the record?
My first name is Arielle. My last name is LeBlanc. LeBlancMoriere.
If you could just put that mic just a little bit closer to you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Where do you currently work?
I'm an officer with the City of Delray Beach.
And how long have you worked for the City of Delray Beach?
It'll be 5 years this December.
Can you tell the members of the jury what capacity you are with the City of Delray Beach?
I'm a road officer.
What does that mean?
I just handle the day-to-day calls for service.
Do you have a typical shift that you work?
Right now I'm on days, so I work 5:45 a.m. to 5:45 p.m.
Okay. In 2016, specifically December 2016, were you working with the City of Delray Beach Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working days or nights then?
I was on night shifts.
When does the night shift start?
We have 3 separate ones, but that time I was working 5:45 p.m. to 5:45 a.m.
Okay. As a road officer, are you working with a partner or are you alone in your vehicle?
We're alone in our vehicles.
And can you just describe for the members of the jury what your vehicle looks like?
Back then, it was a Crown Victoria, so just a regular sedan. The marked unit, so it says Delray Beach Police on the side. It has a light bar and all the bells and whistles.
So if you're driving down the City of Delray Beach, it's a marked patrol vehicle. Is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay. Around 2,200 hours. First, let me ask you this. What is 2,200 hours?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay. So around 10 p.m., were you called out to a location of a Chevron gas station?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall where you were originally when you got the call out?
I was actually in the neighborhood, probably a little over a half a mile away on an alarm.
Okay. Did you, were you actually tending to a specific call when you got the call out to go to the Chevron?
Yes, when that call, we actually had just finished checking the house to make sure that everything was secured. And as soon as that call came out, myself and the other officer that was with me proceeded to go to the gas station.
And who was the other officer that was with you?
To be honest with you, I
Don't remember.
exactly what was with me on the alarm that night.
Okay. How long did it take you to get to that gas station?
No more than maybe about 2 minutes.
And was that gas station located at 1909 West Atlantic Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in Palm Beach County?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe for the members of the jury what that gas station looks like?
It's a typical Chevron gas station. There's pumps on both sides of the gas station, so the store area would be directly in the middle of the gas station. It's very well lit, but it's directly off of Congress and Atlantic Avenue, just west of I-95.
Is it a fairly busy gas station?
Yes.
And around 10 p.m., I'm assuming it was dark out?
Yeah.
When you originally arrived to the gas station, do you recall if you were the first officer on scene?
I was not. I was one of the responding officers. I was not, unfortunately, I was not the first on scene, but there was already people tending to the victim.
Okay. So I'm going to back you up just a little bit. When you originally arrived on scene, are there other patrol vehicles that have already arrived?
Yes.
Do you recall about how many?
I couldn't give you an exact number, but there was a lot of vehicles there at that time already.
Okay, and you mentioned that there were other officers already tending to someone.
Yes.
Can you describe for the members of the jury what that person looked like?
The victim?
Yes.
I was young black man. I couldn't honestly provide the description of his clothing. I don't remember, but he was lying on the northeastern portion of the gas station between one of the pumps and the actual store.
Was he lying in an area that was well lit?
Yes.
And do you recall, if you do, how many officers were tending to him?
There were at least, I would say probably 3 or 4 people around him at that time.
And specifically, do you recall what those officers were doing?
They were rendering aids to CPR. They were trying to stop whatever bleeding may have been still occurring at that time.
Did you get a good look at the victim as he was being tended to?
At that time, no, I did not, because I knew that he was being taken care of by our officer, so my main thing was to go and start securing the crime scene.
Okay, so you mentioned that you went to go start securing the crime scene. First, let me ask you this. When you originally arrived and the other officers are tending to the victim, was fire rescue on scene?
Not yet, but they arrived shortly after to help take over the care.
Okay, so when you went to secure the crime scene, what exactly does that mean?
For us, is in the aspects of securing witnesses, possible witnesses that may have some impact, as well as taking crime scene tape and literally roping off an area where we do not allow anybody else but the officers and the investigating personnel inside.
Okay, so what did you do specifically to secure the crime scene?
I took the crime scene tape, went from whatever vehicles happened to be in that around that area, and we essentially went around the entire gas station and blocked it off to make sure that we had the whole basis of not allowing anybody else inside the gas station.
Okay, and I was just going to ask you that. So as you're securing the crime scene with the tape, are you ensuring that any civilians are located, I guess, outside of the crime scene?
Yes.
Okay, and as part of your duties as securing the crime scene, are you also trying to establish if anybody witnessed anything?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and without telling the jury what anybody said to you, did you make contact with two potential witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall who they were?
At this time, I don't recall their names, but I do remember making contact with a male and a female who said that they had
Objection here, sir.
Again, without telling me what they said, did you make contact with a male and a female?
Yes.
Okay, and did you in fact take statements from them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you do anything else of note on scene at the Chevron gas station?
Besides just getting those statements from the witnesses and roping it off, essentially just standing by to make sure that chaos does not ensue.
Okay.
Just maintaining that crime scene.
Okay. Were you the lead officer or the lead detective in this case?
I was the primary officer, yes.
Okay. So is that kind of the first officer on scene that makes sure that things are going the way that they should?
No, the primary, at least for us in our department, the primary officer is somebody who is assigned to that designated area. So any calls for service that occur in that location, not just the Chevron, but at least at that time, it's Atlantic north to the Boynton Beach line from I-95 west to Military. So that whole area is at that time the area that I specifically had to cover. So any calls for service in those areas were what I was responsible for writing reports and responding to.
Okay. So you have to respond to those crimes that occur in those areas, but are you in charge of like leading the investigation in the homicide?
No. Well, especially with the case that deals with any sort of victims, most of the time a detective will come out and take control over the entire thing.
And in this particular case, was a detective actually assigned and
Yes, ma'am.
reported? Okay. At any point, did you go to the Delray Medical Center?
Yes.
Do you recall about how long you were on scene at the Chevron gas station?
Probably about 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes.
And right after you left the Chevron gas station, did you go to Delray Medical Center?
Yes.
And how far away is the Chevron gas station to the Delray Medical Center?
Depending on what road you take, it's anywhere from 1.5 miles to 2 miles away.
Okay, so fairly close?
Yeah.
Okay. When you reported to the Delray Medical Center, had the victim passed at that point?
I was alerted that once I arrived.
Objection here, sir.
Okay. Did you make contact with the victim at any point?
The victim?
Yes.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay. Were you able to make contact with
No,
them?
ma'am.
Okay. And when you reported to the Delray Medical Center and found out what you found out, did you report that to the lead detective?
I did.
I have nothing further.
Questions?
You have no questions, John?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. You can sit down. So calling next witness, please.
Judge State calls Sergeant Vanness.
State your case, what you're bringing.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Rachel Vanness, V-A-N-N-E-S-S.
And where do you currently work?
Garbage East County,
How long have you worked for them?
going on 18 years.
16 years. What is your current capacity at the Delray Beach Police Department?
I'm the internal affairs sergeant.
Okay. Before becoming the internal affairs sergeant, what were you doing?
I worked previous, I went to the clean and safe unit, a specialized downtown unit for Atlantic Avenue, and then I was the supervisor of West Sector.
Of what?
West Sector?
Okay. What is West Sector?
One of the 3 sectors in the police department, in the city of Delray Beach. So that's when this incident occurred.
Okay. So let's talk about December 8th, 2016. Were you working for the Delray Beach Police Department then?
I was
And in what capacity?
as a West Sector sergeant.
Okay. Did that encompass the area of the Chevron gas station that we're talking about at 1909 West Atlantic Avenue?
It did.
Okay. And can you just tell the members of the jury the difference between a road officer and a sergeant, briefly?
Like any supervisor, my job is to make sure that everything is getting done properly, that my officers are doing the right thing, we maintain accountability for everything we're doing, and we're transparent.
Okay. So if you respond to a scene of a shooting, are you kind of in charge of the road officers that are present on scene?
That is true.
Okay. And are you, one of your duties and responsibilities to ensure that they are doing everything that they should be doing?
Correct.
Okay. And is it also one of your duties and responsibilities to assign them certain tasks to do?
That is correct.
Okay. So specifically, let's talk about this location on December 8th, 2016 at 1909 West Atlantic Avenue. Can you tell us what is located there?
But overall, it's the intersection. There's a Chevron gas station across the street. There's Shell. To the west of the Chevron is like a little plaza. There's a shop, I think, in there, maybe a tile shop. And then catty-corner to that is a Walgreens.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Judge, I've previously showed defense, and I'm approaching with what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 3 for identification. Do you recognize that, Sergeant?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this?
This is Atlantic Avenue here, Congress, with Shell and Chevron. The plaza I was talking about is actually Walgreens.
So is State's Exhibit 3 for identification a map of the overall area that we're describing?
That is correct.
And does this map fairly and accurately depict that area?
Yes.
But at this point, State enters Stage 3 as Stage 3.
We have no objection.
Okay, the stage exhibit number 3, the entries, without objection.
May I publish, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Okay. Sergeant, next to you there is a television, and I'm going to try to zoom in as best as I can. Let me see here. There should be. Okay. As best you can with your hand. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Thank you. All right. You can utilize this and just describe for the members of the jury the area that you were just talking about. So where is Congress Avenue located on this map?
Congress Avenue is right here.
And where is Atlantic Avenue?
Right there.
Okay. And where is I-95 depicted on this map?
I think it is right there.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay. So is that area that you just pointed out originally here, is that the off-ramp of 95?
It is.
So where is the Chevron gas station?
The Chevron's right here.
Okay. And you mentioned there was also a Shell gas station?
There is. It's across the street.
Okay. So the area that we're talking about with relevance to this case, is that the Chevron gas station?
That is correct.
Okay. And is that Chevron gas station, are you familiar with it?
I am.
And as a Delray Beach police officer in general, how many times would you say you've driven past or gone to that Chevron gas station?
Countless.
Is it a well-lit area?
It is.
And are there gas pumps on either side of a convenience store?
There is.
Okay. Around 2200 hours were you called out to that location?
I was.
And what is 2200 hours?
10 o'clock.
Okay. And is that PM?
Yes.
Okay. What, if anything, did you notice when you first got there?
There was a guy laying on the ground, a black male laying on the ground. My officers were around them. They were, I could hear on the radio, they were,
Objection, hearsay.
You don't have to say what they were saying, but could you see what they were doing?
I could see that they were attempting to render aid.
Okay. And you said attempting to render aid. What physically were they doing?
They were trying to, I don't know. I couldn't really see what their hands were doing, but I could tell that they were attempting to render aid. There were people milling around. I believe there was one other supervisor there on scene when I got there. There was still a new crime scene tape had not been put up yet. It was, I had gotten there I don't remember how long after the initial call came out, but pretty quickly.
Okay. So when you originally arrived on scene, is it fair to say you were not the first officer there?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you arrived on scene, you mentioned that there was a black male on the ground. Did you at all attempt to render aid?
I had to show them how to put on chest seals for the bullet wounds that were somewhere in this vicinity.
Okay. So what's a chest seal?
So chest seal is something that we use to try to keep air from going in and out and allows the subject to breathe.
Okay. And you mentioned that you tried to show them how to put on chest seals. Are you discussing, are you referring to your officers?
Yes.
Okay. And did you in fact show them or demonstrate to them how to do that?
I did. So my officers were kind of confused, so I opened up the chest seal packet, I gave it to the officers, and then I didn't have gloves on, so I was giving them instruction on to what they needed to do in order to get the chest seals on them.
Okay. And did you in fact see where the injury or wound was to the black male that was laying on the ground?
Somewhere in the chest vicinity.
Okay. When you arrived on scene as a sergeant, are you kind of trying to delegate specific things for other officers to do?
Yes, there was a lot of stuff going on. We were attempting to figure out who had done the shooting. We were trying to render aid to the victim. We were trying to figure out where the defendant had gone, and then locate any evidence and keep any witnesses that had seen anything on scene.
As a sergeant with the Delray Beach Police Department, are you equipped with what is called a body camera?
I am.
Can you describe for the members of the jury what a body camera is?
So a body camera is something that all Delray Beach Police officers have now, but in 2015 we just rolled out the program, so I believe there was like maybe 25 of us that had it. We put it on our desk. We're supposed to, any officer is supposed to turn it on when they have contact with the public. That could become, some confrontational. They wear it throughout their shifts. We now have 2 body cameras, so if one goes dead, they can return to the police department and grab another one and put it back on there. And it captures, calls for service and those types of things.
Okay. And is it part of your protocol to activate that body camera whenever you're making contact with civilians regarding a case?
Yes.
Okay. Would that also encompass investigating or responding to a shooting?
Yeah, and calls for service.
Okay. In this particular case, did you in fact activate your body cam?
I did.
And have you actually seen that video prior to testifying today?
Yes, I have.
Judge may approach the witness.
Judge, can we approach?
Judge may approach the witness. I've already shown defense what's previously marked as case exhibit 2. Do you recognize that? Do you recognize the date on that page? That's actually a copy of the bottom of the video. That is a fair and accurate copy of what took place on December 8th. Yes. But at this point, state enters stage 2 and stage 3. Okay, Sergeant, I'm just going to pause the video at certain times and kind of ask you some questions. What are we looking at right now in this video?
So this is obviously the Chevron gas station. This is, I parked on the south side of the Chevron.
Okay. Okay, so let me just go back just a second. Okay, so I'm pausing the video here at on the counter 2 minutes and 40 seconds on your body cam video. Up at the top right, I notice it says T03 3-15.51. What is that?
That is Axon's camera. We have no control over that, so that is not an accurate time depiction. If we would have looked at it from our evidence.com, where this would have kept, on the bottom there would have been our actual time frame.
Okay, so Axon, is that the company that maintains the body camera, the video kind of program?
It is, they're the ones who created it.
Okay, so the time up there, 3:15, is not accurate, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the time that you reported to this call was around 10 p.m.?
That is correct.
Okay. So what are we looking at, I'm just going to call it on the time, the top right, 3:15 Axum time. What is displayed on the screen in this location?
So this was the victim who was laying down, and then some officers attempting to render a
And who is, could you tell who the person in the kind of gray shirt is standing above? Is that a civilian possibly? Okay. Okay, so Axum time 3:16. What are you doing in this point?
I'm opening the chest seals.
Is that what you were talking about before, how you had to inform them how to place the chest seals on the victim's body?
That is correct.
When you originally arrived on scene, do you recall if fire rescue was present already?
They were not.
Do you remember how long it took for them to arrive?
I don't remember.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause here. We noticed how you originally said that when you arrived there was no crime scene tape up yet. So we see people standing by, it looks like some are officers and some are civilians. Is it one of your duties and responsibilities as a sergeant to make sure officers don't let any civilians come into contact with the victim or the crime scene?
That is correct.
Okay, and in this particular case, were you in fact instructing people on what they should be doing at the time?
Yes.
Okay, and we have a muted video because we can't say what other people said on scene, but were you doing that at this time?
Yes.
Okay, so we see here, and we just saw one of the other officers put what looks like a cup on the ground. What is that?
She was trying to preserve some of the evidence because we had so many people walking around. We didn't want anything to get kicked or a crime scene could come take photos of everything. So she normally would put something over it to mark it as a spot when crime scene comes, and hopefully people will see it and not kick it before we can get them out of the crime scene area.
Okay, and do you know if what was actually located by this cup or marker? Do you know what you're doing at this point?
I believe I'm asking people where the crime scene tape is.
Okay. And do you recall what, if anything, people were searching for in that trunk?
Crime scene tape.
Okay. Okay, so what is that in your hand?
Crime scene tape.
Okay. So is crime scene tape that big caution yellow crime scene tape that we see a lot of the times in the movies or, I guess, unseen in areas?
It is.
Okay. And what, if anything, do you do to determine what areas should be roped off as part of a crime scene?
We try to do an inner and an outer perimeter, so the perimeters where the victim would have been, where shell casings would be, like where the actual crime occurred, and then we do an outer perimeter, so we keep like witnesses in between the inner and the outer perimeter, and the outer perimeter is everybody else who may just happen to be seeing what's going on in Chevron. So we keep them out, and we're able to establish like who we need to keep in and who we need to, keep out.
Okay. And what is a crime scene log?
A major case log?
My crime scene log.
Yeah, a major case log just depicts the time that somebody would have entered the interior part of the crime scene and when they leave, so that we have an accurate depiction of who was there and who wasn't there.
Okay. And is that also to maintain kind of the integrity of the crime scene, as well as to know what evidence was removed or if anything went into the crime scene?
Correct.
And is that typical and standard for cases, especially cases like this?
Yeah, the major case log that we keep only I just want to clarify,
Sure.
only puts people. It doesn't actually put evidence.
Okay.
So.
Now, is this the south side of the gas station?
It is.
Now, when you're originally placing the tape, are you at this point placing the exterior crime scene tape, the outer perimeter, or the interior crime scene?
At this point, I'm just trying to get crime scene tape up because there's none.
Okay.
But I believe we use this one as the interior, and then we wrote the entire chevron for the exterior.
Okay. Is that why people are kind of being escorted out of that taped area? Okay, I'm just going to pause it really quick. We see here in the camera screen, kind of just below where it says Axon Body 2, what looks to be a female as well as a male in, looks like khakis and a tie. Do you know who that male is?
Yes.
Who is that?
Detective Leon.
Okay, and is he a detective, or was he a detective with the Delaware Beach Police Department at the time?
Yes.
And was this his case?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have any idea who this female is that he's talking to?
I don't.
Okay. As a sergeant, as opposed to a detective in a case, is the detective kind of assigned to investigating the crime and what happened?
That is correct.
Okay, and a sergeant kind of would be responsible for delegating what the original officers do on scene. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I mean, he has a sergeant in charge of the detective bureau that would have looked at his case, but yes,
Sure.
At this point, I'm just trying to make sure everybody's doing their job and we're covering all the bases.
So you're not going to be the one actually investigating the crime, going out and talking to witnesses at later times, things like that?
Correct.
Is that Detective Leon that we were talking about?
It is.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it here. We kind of see a blurry something in the top left or center screen area. Is that the emergency medical personnel?
It is.
And are they actually on scene at this point tending to the victim?
They are.
When you originally saw the victim, did he appear to be responsive?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Did he appear to be, were his eyes open? Did he appear to be alive at that time?
His eyes were open. They were, I believe somebody was doing CPR on him.
And you didn't render any first aid to him or anything like that, correct?
Just hand in the chest, yes.
Okay, so at this point in the video, does it appear that the crime scene is somewhat secured more than it was at least before?
Yes.
And is that through the yellow tape as well as removing any type of civilians off to the exterior?
Yes.
What, if anything, are you doing here?
I was looking, I have been looking for a bicycle.
Okay.
I'm going to object here, sir.
No, overrule the objection to that question.
At any point were you looking for something?
Yes.
Okay, and was that based on information that you had been given?
Yes.
Okay. Did you locate something?
I located a bicycle.
Okay, and where did you locate that bicycle?
Back where those bushes were.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do when the bicycle was located?
I believe I told Detective Leon.
Okay. Did you actually secure kind of a scene around that bicycle as well?
I might have, I don't remember.
As the sergeant on scene, are you actually kind of assisting the detective in pointing out witnesses or people that you know might have evidence in the case?
Yeah, so we try to vet all the information. The officers were, you can tell there's, I don't know if you can tell, but there's 3 supervisors on scene. So we were all getting the information. We kind of have, you can see later on in the video, we kind of have a little powwow. We're trying to figure out what was accurate information, what wasn't accurate information. But we were also trying to get the video from inside the store to see what had occurred. And giving all that information to Detective Leon and making sure that the rest of our officers knew what they needed to be looking for at that point.
Okay.
This is what I was talking about. Those other 2 are supervisors, and
Okay.
so we go over and we kind of have a little chat about what information is accurate.
Okay. And then you report that information.
Yeah, they were all discussing it.
And it looks like the victim's still being tended to by EMS.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop the video there at this point. Does this kind of conclude and show the jury an accurate picture of what kind of was taking place on the crime scene that day? Okay. And when you left the crime scene that day, did you collect any type of evidence or anything like that? But you did locate a bicycle and point that out to the detective? Okay. Besides being on scene that night and assisting Detective Leon as well as instructing officers on what to do while they were on scene, did you do anything else pertaining to this investigation?
That I recall.
And just for the record, I did stop the tape at the Axon body camera at 3:26:51. I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you. Questions, Ben?
No objection. No questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dillon, you want to take your mid-afternoon recess? We could go a little further if you'd like, or we could take it right now. Be about 15 minutes. Not seeing any nods and affirmance. You tell me, I want you to be comfortable. Well, I would give you about a 15-minute break. The next witness, how long do you think the next witness will be?
The next witness is Ms. McCracken.
So this is going to take a while. So maybe it'd be a good idea to go now. So let's take 15 minutes. Let's have our way back about 3:20. Thank you.
Which topics up right now?